In Sydney, it was finally Romania's turn, while Russia fell apart. The Romanian gymnastics team finally triumphed. For China, a welcome surprise, the team bronze medal. But the U.S. women were left off the podium. There would be no celebration for them. The Romanians finally lived up to their expectations and raised the bar for the next generation of Olympians. Now it is up to a new group of young gymnasts. Their time has come to carry on the legacy of their teammates in Sydney.
My name is Holly Weiss. I'm 12 years old.
My name is Pontiac. I'm 17 years old.
My name is Sabina Carolina Kojokar.
My name is Marie Fjordholm. I'm 17 years
I'm
old.
14 years old. My goal is to go to the
My goals are
Olympics.
to make the 2001 World Team in Belgium.
My name is Lindsay Van den Eykel. I'm 14 years old. My goals are to make the 2003 World Team and 2004 Olympic Team.
The long road to Athens begins now.
NBC Sports presents the Pontiac International Team Championships.
Hi, everybody. Al Troutwig joined once again by Tim Daggett and Elfie Schlegel. And what we have here today is the first significant international competition since the Olympic Games for these three countries. On the foreign side, from an American standpoint, the Romanians left Sydney because of a couple of cold tablets with some bitterness. And yet the young women who remained in Romania and in China saw a lot in Sydney, Australia to be proud of, maybe to inspire them here today.
Well, certainly. And on the Romanian side, a lot of the faces that we're going to see today, you're not going to be familiar with, but you will get to know them down the road. The head of delegation for Romania told me this is the most promising generation they have ever had in gymnastics. That's scary for the rest of the world.
All right, now to the United States. No medals for the first time since 1972. Where does that leave these women today?
Well, the Americans have to be thrilled with a group of very talented juniors who are now just moving into that senior level. And what they'd like to do now is mold this team now, not a year before the Olympic Games, because in 2003, the World Championships come back to the United States. They want to be back on the podium winning medals.
All right, we'll get things started now. This is a tri-meet. United States, Romania, China. 5 gymnasts per rotation, and there are 4 of those. You keep the 4 best scores. This is 16-year-old Ashley Kelly, who's from the Kraft Academy in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Marta Caroli is here acting as the head coach, and she told me her biggest concern is balance beam, and that is, of course, where they start.
And we have watched this young team throughout the week in practice, doing numerous routines, especially on this event. Ashley is in the position of lead-off gymnast, which is a very important role.
Now, many of these athletes have competed internationally, but this is unquestionably their biggest competition. As Elfie said, a very talented young group of American athletes.
Getting set for another big combination. This will perhaps be a little bit more popular in the next cycle of gymnastics. Aerial front walkovers. Of course, she should have held her leg up and did it a closer connection.
This is one of those apparatus in a big event like the Olympics. It feels about as wide as a pencil.
just having really small little breaks on each and every one of her large skills. And of course, we know how often those tenths can add up.
Off to the side of the beam here.
So that's Ashley Kelly, and you'd like to think USA Gymnastics, the coaches, the gymnasts all learned something from being shut out in Sydney. What do you think the big things are that they learned, guys?
Well, to be quite honest, the gymnastics community is fractured at this point, and they are looking at everything. Whether Bella should be a part of the picture, just from top to bottom, they are going to examine it because people are not happy in the community.
And yet it'll be important as they fix things to keep the athletes focused so that they can succeed. And Ashley Kelly starts things off with a 9-3.
Yeah, I was going to say they want to start things off now and not the year before the Olympics.
Sung Zhao of China. And as we saw in Sydney, glitter lives in gymnastics. Tons of it, gobs of it.
Yurchenko, Arabian here.
There's only one Olympian that is on this Chinese team here in Syracuse. They have not brought a very strong squad. This particular vault is only valued out of a 9.6. And certainly as we head into the next quadrennium, you're going to see that start value even lower for that vault.
And the start value is the total number of elements performed, which you would receive if you perform the exercise perfectly.
Remember, the women get 2 vaults, they're averaged.
In this competition, they are allowed to repeat the same vault.
Chinese women winning the team bronze in Sydney, and it was the Romanian women, Alana Bond. They took the gold, and so yesterday we talked about how the Chinese men inspired the next generation. Well, the Romanian women finally winning the team gold medal after having just tons of international individual success.
And also success at the World Championships, many-time team champions, but like the Chinese, had never done a team championships in the Olympic Games. No Olympians on this team. One alternate that did not compete in Sydney.
And the rest being part of the junior squad. Again, this is their future.
And not just any old juniors. These are their very best.
The tradition lives on.
Yeah, this team has 5 color commentators. And we showed you from Sydney during the Olympic Games how these young women could literally lift the spirits of a country that is undergoing tremendous economic hardship right now. Sung Zhao, 9.25, and that averages out perfectly to a 9.25 for her vault score. Now to Marie Fjordholm. People have been talking up Marie for a long time in USA Gymnastics. And what is it about her that everybody likes so much?
Well, they like her power. She's a very aggressive gymnast. By far, her best events are vault and the floor exercise.
Marie trains in Plano, Texas with Valerie Lyukin and Evgeny Marchenko, and we will be talking about these two men a lot here today. Whoops. They have built up a powerhouse, have they not, in Plano, Texas?
Yes, they have a very bright future. Many of the top young athletes in the country are training down in Texas with those two. Oftentimes in the United States, there are these pockets where many of the top athletes either gravitate to or basically are homegrown in those gyms. And they're going to be one of those gyms. They certainly are right now.
Marie actually just fell short of qualifying for the Olympic trials this year. And she has certainly set her sights on 2004.
She works out in the morning, does a little schoolwork, comes back and actually teaches some classes, some preschool classes at her gym, then works out again.
Long day.
A lot of gymnastics.
Well, no question, the fall will hurt. Of course, that's an automatic 5/10 deduction.
There's a correction on the balance beam score for Ashley Kelly. The new score, 9.3.
Critical thing for the team, obviously. You can have one mistake. It doesn't spell disaster, but if you've got two, that means you're counting one. They dropped the lowest score.
This is combination tumbling right here. What it means is those shoulders and hips have to be in line with 4 inches of balance beam, and she wished she could take that over again.
Marie's score an 8.825, so the fall off the beam hurt her tremendously. Luana Ban of Romania was given a 9.375 by the judges. And we're just getting started here in Syracuse at the International Team Championships.
NBC's Sports World is brought to you by Hershey's Chocolate Bar. Hershey's, put a smile on your face. And by the Grand Am with solid form design by Pontiac.
We're back in Syracuse, where this Romanian team and everyone from now and forever will be careful what they take during major competitions. We're talking about Andrea Radicon in Sydney. Let's go to Beth Ruyak for more.
Thanks, Al. Andrea Radicon has filed a lawsuit, it's being reported, against the International Olympic Committee. The goal is to get her gold medal back and to have her name cleared from what's being called the blacklist of doping. Now, we asked the Romanian Federation about that. They said they know nothing about it. They are not a part of this lawsuit, though in many ways they continue to show their support and their loyalty to Andrea Radicon.
In a country where Nadia Comaneci is a household name, Andrea Radicon was poised to become Romania's next hero. For one night in Sydney, she had it all. The prestigious gold medal in the Olympic all-around. But in a matter of days, her Olympic dream turned into a nightmare.
Raducan Andrea, member of the Romanian team, is disqualified from the competition gymnastics women's all-around final for use of prohibited substances.
A simple cold pill given to her by the team doctor changed everything. Andrea's teammate Raresh Orzada remembers the ordeal.
Well, first we thought that it's a joke. When it gets serious, then everybody appealed to our Olympic Committee President Syriac. He got lawyers and everything on his expense.
Move aside, please. Move aside. I don't want to injure your camera. Move away.
Andrea, along with the Romanian Olympic Committee, pleaded her case to the Court for the Arbitration of Sport.
The panel decided today to dismiss the appeal filed by Andrea Raducan. The panel confirmed that the athlete tested positive to pseudoephedrine.
I lost my medal, but in my soul, I know that that was my place. I want to pass as fast as I can over this situation and to start on with my life.
Though stripped of her medal, she still had her country and her teammates behind her. Fellow Romanians Simona Aminar and Maria Olaru would not accept their new medals.
They just switched the medals. Simona said that she doesn't want the gold medal, and Maria said that she doesn't want the silver because they know between them who was the best.
Fans turned out in Sydney to say goodbye, but it was nothing compared to the homecoming she would receive in Romania.
When we came home, everybody said in the airplane, nobody gets down because the president is going to come aboard and take Andrea, and he took her hand and they both get off the plane together. Lots of people with flowers and signs and everything on. It was nice. She got more publicity in Romania because of this.
She has signed a deal selling the movie rights of her story, and there are plans to commemorate her victory with a statue in Deva, the town where she trains.
She's not going to have the medal, but she said, well, we'll see next World Championship, and I'll prove to everyone that I'm still the best.
It is so easy to feel sympathy for Andrea Raducanu, but I will never forget what you said to me, Tim Daggett, the day it was announced. You said, Al, back in 1984, we knew we couldn't take those cold pills.
Yeah, it still boggles my mind that this guy, the doctor, and I know it was not intentional, I just can't believe he could have ever made a mistake like that.
This is Oana Petrovci of the Romanian team on the uneven bars. 4 rotations here in the International Team Championships. And of course, the other aspect is you say, yeah, the poor kid had a cold. She had to take something for it. And unfortunately, that is part of major competition. There is no guarantee that on the day that you have to be at your best, you're going to feel great. There's no guarantee you're not going to have a cold, a pulled muscle, or just feel lousy.
But this team marches on, and they brought to Syracuse a glimpse of their next generation. This is going to be another strong team for the future.
And you can only imagine what it was like in that gym in Deva as they watched the Olympics unfold and that story erupted. These young women virtually live together. They have given their lives to this sport in that training complex. And this was everything for them. And it's amazing how they just chatter away and chatter away.
And this isn't a show. It's not just because the cameras are around and it's a competition. It's like that every day in training, day in, day out.
It's like a Romanian tradition, like winning medals. All right, 9-5 for Petrovci. And this is Holly Weiss, 12 years old, from Dallas, Texas. And you heard her say when we first came on the air, not World Championships next year, but 2003, yes, that's a dream. The Olympics, yes.
Al, she is impressive, to say the least. I cannot believe she is only 12 years old.
Hey, that's the old Olga Korbut move that made her famous when the world first saw her.
She's known for her flexibility. She has an amazing display of elements in this routine, and she has confidence. Check out this skill right here.
Big time gymnastics. Hold on.
We saw a few of those at the Olympic Games, and we're going to be seeing so many more.
This young lady in her first international competition was competing in Russia, and she made it all the way to the beam finals and ended up competing with 2 of the stars from the 2000 Olympic Games, Horkina and Prudhanova.
She actually said she's never even competed in the same arena as some of the top U.S. gymnasts. She is so polished already at this age. Big combination dismount coming up. Wow. That's great gymnastics.
And, you know, it's even hard to say that she was inspired by the Magnificent Seven in Atlanta. She was barely 8 years old at the time.
You know, it was so cute. She was telling us that she's wanted to go to the Olympics, but she actually told her mom, she said, you know, when I was young, I always wanted to go to the Olympics.
Oh, golly.
Very cute.
This is that major tumbling sequence here. Flip-flop into a back somersault with a full twist. And the thing that's great about this is she's not perfectly on.
But fights.
She just fights for that landing, bends those knees, and somehow stays on that beam.
Gotta love that quality in an athlete.
Holly Weiss gets a 9.6. We've got a lot more women's gymnastics to come your way from Syracuse, New York, and the International Team Championships. Back in Syracuse, Al Trautwig, Tim Daggett, Elfie Schlegel, and Beth Ruyak. This is Ping Sha. When the Chinese gymnasts got together to decide who would represent the country at the Olympic Games in Sydney, she finished 9th. So this was someone that just wasn't there quite.
And didn't quite have enough rotation on that either.
Have we ever figured out why the Chinese gymnasts wear those, what look like wristbands around their heels?
Yeah, they say it helps. They've been doing it for years, and I had really bad ankles, and they say it helps on the landings, doesn't hurt as much. And I tried it, and I tell you, it didn't help at all.
Didn't do a thing.
Although if your ankles sweat, you're in great shape. She'll average the 2 vaults, 9.15 on the first.
That vault starts out of a 9.7. She'll do the same one again. Just try to improve a little bit more power off of the horse, get a little more rotation so she can prepare for the landing. And she does.
Instead of going offside this time, just took a rather large step forward. Doesn't matter what they do, they're always happy.
High 10s. Now the Romanians are on the uneven bars. And Alexandria Barak. The junior Romanian team, as far as Europe goes, was the second best team last year, so they just continue to develop great gymnasts.
Yeah, as we said, this is their best generation, according to the head of delegation. And, you know, you talked about a group of athletes unifying a country. 3 of them came back, Raducan, Amanar, and Olaru, and were presented diplomatic passports. They can travel freely wherever they want, no visas required.
We've also been told that those 3 athletes are planning to continue on in gymnastics, and we might see them at next year's World Championships.
And imagine the impact on this new group. Right before the Olympics, all they knew were that these were special gymnasts that were training right next to them in the town of Deva, and in the space of 2 weeks, they were national heroes. It's pretty powerful stuff.
And they know they are next in line.
I just love the sound of those voices up in the front row there. They all know each other's routine and basically talk themselves through it. Peng Sha had a second vault of 9.275. 9.212 is her average. Barak gets an uneven bar score of 9.5. We're just establishing the competition now to see who's where and what's what. This is Lindsay Vanden Eichel from Plano, Texas, another one of those that trains in that gym there. She's 14 years of age. Now, how did they establish themselves as such a powerhouse?
Well, they got a great program. First of all, they have a fantastic gym. A number of the coaches in that gym were former great athletes from either the Soviet Union or one of the republics.
And Lindsay's coach, Evgeny Marshenko, actually was a Russian acrobat, and he says that the reason why he trains women so well is that he actually competed as a pair. So he had the opportunity to compete with a woman for about 20 years. It was questionable whether or not Lindsay was actually going to compete, because just a couple of days ago in practice, she hyperextended that right knee. You see the bandage wrap around the knee. She did that on a dismount off the uneven bars. Lindsay spent 10 days in Sydney, Australia for the Olympic Games, went down with her coach and her family, took in the competition, said her favorite gymnast was Zamolodchikova from Russia.
That was different.
Nice side flip there.
Again, what's so impressive is the quality of the work.
Very, very tight execution. Great form.
Yeah, great skill level, but it's being done so well. That's going to help down the road.
That's a very good generation on the American side as well.
So that's Lindsay Vanden Eichel, and we will be saying Plano, Texas an awful lot today. We will get her score as we continue at the International Team Championships in Syracuse, New York. When we resume, we'll continue and update you on the standings through the first rotation, and we'll learn a lot more about American Holly Weiss. We're back in Syracuse, New York. More of the International Team Championships. After one rotation, 3 more to go. The United States has the lead, slim as it might be, over Romania, and then China in third. Still very close, and this is Peng Sha on the uneven bars.
The Chinese actually just recently had a Chinese championship. They seem to have a couple of those a year. But anyways, she was the uneven bars all-around champion.
Well, they have no problem stocking these championships, do they?
Tremendous bar workers. The Chinese gymnasts, just incredible basic training, perfect body line, and the thing they do so well, their shoulder angle is so completely open. They're able to do these pirouettes and these turns on the bars better than anybody, like right there. Maybe not the greatest dismount, but golly, the level of difficulty is just remarkable. Yeah. All these turns, huge open shoulder angle right into this release skill called a Jaeger. And then
Did you just say golly?
Transition to the low bar.
Yeah, they certainly are a country that knows how to swing uneven bars.
Big number, highest score so far, 9-7 on the uneven bars. And now we go to Oana Petrovsky.
9.55. Competing next on balance beam.
United States with the slim lead.
And I'll tell you, watching this Romanian team in training, they do some of the biggest gymnastics in the world as a group.
Yeah, we saw Holly Weiss perform a full twisting somersault on the balance beam. 4 out of the 5 Romanian gymnasts can do that skill. That's a pretty high level.
And they did it all week long with tremendous consistency.
What do we think of that side jump, Elfie? It's certainly not the most elegant thing you can do on the balance beam.
Well, it's different, and that's the point too, is we're trying to establish some new skills that we haven't seen before. In the last quadrennium, there were certain elements that were overused, and it's certainly
abused, actually.
Yeah, abused. And it's just nice to see some new skills come into play. The wolf jump, there it was again.
If I never see another one, I'll be happy.
It was really cute. The Romanian team, obviously they're all very young. They've never been to the United States before. And when they flew over New York City, they all obviously recognized the Statue of Liberty, and they immediately said that they needed to buy that as a souvenir to take back home.
It's expensive, the Statue of Liberty, actually.
To them, that was the symbol of America.
Dismount coming up here. A lot of triple fulls on this team, too.
And, you know, not a surprise to see a routine that's solid. We watched them in practice do routines over and over and over again. As one was dismounting, the other one was already up on the beam.
Yeah, it was remarkable. We were in Sydney for so long, and we had the opportunity to watch the Romanians almost every day. And they'd be in the gym twice a day, every day, 6 hours a day sometimes, and there wasn't a second that somebody wasn't on a piece of apparatus. It was like, oh, we're not getting enough time. We're not. Unreal.
And the score for Oana Petrovsky, 9.725. Good total for the Romanians. Now across the floor, we find the freckled face and red hair of 12-year-old Holly Weiss. Tim Daggett's gold medal came in 1984. It already must have had a little tarnish on it when Holly was born 4 years later. A big part of her life now takes place in Plano, Texas.
From day one, it was pretty obvious that she had a little bit more than the normal gift for gymnastics.
I started when I was 3 at a recreational center. I wasn't there very long.
Everything she has done has always come fast for her.
Like whenever I was little, I used to go on my beam and do back walkovers, front walkovers, just some easy stuff. And I'd always jump on my trampoline. You learn a new skill. It's just so exciting. You get to go home and tell your parents.
It's amazing, absolutely amazing to see a child of your own doing the things that she does.
But this 12-year-old's natural talents could only take her so far. That's why she enrolled in the World Olympic Gymnastics Academy to be trained by 2 Russian champions.
Holly has a lot of talents. Holly has a lot of talents in physical and in mental. As soon as she came in, I saw this girl, she's very calm, which is a great quality. She's sometimes even too calm. You know, I'm like, come on, you gotta go.
We teach him everything here in the gym, how to be tough. This is a very tough sport. They are really professional gymnasts. They work in as much as any other businessman.
Every athlete has a goal, and Holly Weiss has Athens. Even if it's a long way away, she's got plenty of time.
To be in the 2004 Olympics, I've dreamed that for a long time.
I think she has a good future. Holly has a lot of talent, like I said, and it will be always up to her.
2004? We don't know. There's a lot of things that can happen between now and then, but we're going to be behind her.
I would just be so excited. It'd be like a dream come true.
Well, here she is in Syracuse, New York, and these stories of sacrifice at such a young age never cease to be amazing. And how about the balance beam in the dining room next to the cabinet?
I know, that was pretty good. I didn't have one of those in my house. One thing, though, that Evgeny and Valery have done for their young team is expose them to the world. They've traveled quite a bit, actually quite extensively. They've tried to introduce them and expose them to the new equipment around the world, other athletes, the difference in language. They feel that this is instrumental in preparing these elite athletes for the future.
And how about being in the gym while Valery tried to help save the career of Vanessa Atler, and having her be so close in their neighborhood to watch that whole process of struggle and see that dream come up short. I have a feeling that made a very big impact on her.
Whoa. Shades of rhythmic gymnastics.
Well, Elfie, you wanted things to be different. She's going to go through so much in these next 4 years. She's obviously going to be growing up. She's going to become a teenager. She's going to do a lot more thinking for herself.
I'll tell you what, she's got the mindset to be a national team athlete.
Holly, the third of 4 children. She's a straight A student. So she's got the smarts and she's got the muscles.
And just like on balance beam, very polished in the choreography, she actually admitted that tumbling isn't her forte, still needs to work in the power department.
Yeah, that's it exactly. I mean, she's got a lot of tremendous qualities, but that major power for vaulting and for floor exercise, she can get better there.
So it's been said once before, and it'll be said once again in the case of this 12-year-old. This is a name, Holly Weiss, that you should be hearing a lot of in the future. Some of the best new Chinese gymnasts when we come back to Syracuse, New York at the International Team Championship.
You are watching the Pontiac International Team Championships on NBC Sports.
And back we are at the International Team Championships. We'll start things off with China. We're in the second rotation. Huang Mandan. The United States, I'm sorry, Tim, had the lead just slightly over Romania and China.
And she is the only Olympian in this competition today.
This was an event where she won a silver medal at the '99 World Championships. She was hugely disappointed that she didn't make the event finals in Sydney.
But she was there for the bronze medal celebration.
And that was a huge victory for the Chinese team.
Best we had seen them in a long time.
Just like all of her teammates, she can swing bars.
Wow.
Oh.
You know, she had trouble on that dismount in practice.
Did her hands touch there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That was a hard landing with the hands.
Yeesh.
They can take 5/10 easily.
That's too bad because it was a beautiful exercise. And you don't expect that when you're the veteran and you are a world medalist on this event, because this is not, it's not even one of the most difficult dismounts being done today, and that one wasn't even close.
Just ran out of oomph.
Does it matter if just one hand touches or if both touch?
Well, really what it comes down to is if you show support on the ground, it's going to be a 5/10 deduction. They probably took 3, maybe 4/10 for that.
So considering that deduction, she did pretty well with a 9.45. This is now Taryn Humphrey, 14 years old. She trains at the Great American Gymnastics Express in Blue Spring, Missouri.
This is her 3rd international competition, and in fact, she just recently won an international event, France versus USA.
Watch how many elements she does in this first tumbling run. She's already tiny, just that small little step.
Can pack a lot in.
Yikes.
But just so everybody knows, there is so much gymnastics in an athlete like this who's 14 that she is actually schooled at home. So all that stuff that goes on with kids just hanging out in school and talking about math and going to lunch, and
no, that's not happening here.
That is not happening for this young woman.
Taryn says that her idol is Elise Ray, and she definitely hopes that she'll be representing the United States one day, as soon as 2004.
I think what's going to be very interesting for all of us that watch the American team in their progress to the Olympics is seeing how Elise Ray and the others do at the NCAA level. See if they can do that well in a collegiate team sense.
Well, it's a very different game at that level.
Wow, there's some exciting new talent on this team.
Another great athlete right here.
Taryn actually has great family support. Up until about 3.5 years ago, she was actually commuting to her gym, taking private lessons. They quickly realized her talent, and the whole family moved.
I feel better, right?
Good job. Very good. Good job. Nice triple.
I feel better.
It is important to note, though, Al, you bring up that point that they don't hang out at the mall, but I tell you, these kids, and they are kids, they wake up every morning, and the thing that they want to do most is go to the gym. It's their playground, and their best friends are there.
I wasn't hinting that anything great happens when you hang out at the mall.
Coached by a husband and wife team, the Fongs.
Taryn Humphrey gets a 9.525. Now, maybe the name Liu Wei sounds just a little bit familiar. She was at this event last year for China. Was not part of the Olympic team. We're in Syracuse, New York, at what was once called the War Memorial Auditorium. This is the International Team Championship, a tri-meet.
Oh, yep. You almost could see that coming. It was just about there, but almost not rotated enough, so she couldn't get her hands on the bar.
There are 5 gymnasts per team for the United States, Romania, and China. And in a situation like this, where you're going to count the 4 best scores, this score you'd want to get rid of, and so the pressure falls on the other 4 members of this Chinese team to put up a big hit.
You know, she told us that when she gets nervous in competition, she just reminds herself that the other athletes are probably feeling the same way. Very strong finish.
But this is an event where the Chinese, if they were going to be in the hunt to win this competition. This is where they could have pulled away.
Yeah, it's shocking to see them fall.
Yeah, they're counting some misses here, so that's going to hurt them. Very difficult when you do a release skill in combination like this. A lot of pirouetting action going on. Maybe gets that hand on a little bit late. And yeah, it really wasn't that it was too far away from the bar. Maybe just not quite rotated enough to have her body in the proper position. Hands all over the place on that bar.
Yeah, she was on.
Her hands were all over the bar at that point. And it's costly, 8.725 for Liu Wei. We have just a few more performances to go in this second rotation. It's the United States, Romania, and China battling at the International Team Championship. We've come down to the final few performances of the second rotation, which would be, in effect, halftime here at the International Team Championship. Al Troutwig, Tim Daggett, Elfie Schlegel, Beth Ruyak roaming the floor. Oana Ban on the beam.
We talked about those daredevil skills that the Romanians are performing. Oana performs one in combination, by far the most difficult one that's being done in the competition.
She does this with her legs straight, full twisting laid out somersault.
We saw in the background there some of the fans.
Oh, that's a shame.
That's unreal.
I don't think she fell on one in practice.
Oh. And she did a boatload of them.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, one thing we've learned, practice is one thing and the real deal is something totally different. Anyway, the fans there, they have those, little placards that they hand out all the time at events in the United States, 10, 10, 10, 10. Are we ever going to see another perfect 10 in this sport, or are they going to just give the quota points to such a degree that no one will ever be able to do it again?
Yeah, it's a shame. It's the philosophy of the FIG. They actually do not want to see a 10.
There were so many 10s that were given out. I remember at the 1988 Olympic Games.
And I think it's a mistake. I think that a 10, it should be an attainable goal.
Well, what's funny to me in so many of these sports is that fan reaction and fan involvement in what happens in the arena is never taken into account. I mean, if there were a roll of 10s here, who would care? People in this building or whatever event you were at would be loving it.
Yeah, would. Yeah.
Instead, they've got a code of points and start values that very few people understand, and it's also very complicated.
One thing this young lady did so well is she was so aggressive throughout the entire routine. I mean, that was a big time skill here in combination. Not only the combination, but the fact that she does a layout full twist on the balance beam. Really a shame that she wasn't able to save that. No room for error, as you can see, looking at the beam head on.
And she gets a 9.2. Here's our first look at Ashley Miles. She's 15 years old and trains at the Harris Unlimited Gymnastics School in San Antonio, Texas. Now, she does not go to school at home. She's actually a sophomore at James Madison High in San Antonio.
And her best events by far are vault and floor exercise. Just watch her tumble. She walks into her tumbling passes.
Stepped out by an inch. Tim Daggett is here, tapping his feet, snapping his fingers. He's with the rhythm. What's going on with you over there?
I don't know. I'm a big Dave fan, Dave Matthews. Nothing better. You think he'll send me tickets?
No. Total family of athletes. Mom was a hurdler. Her sister played volleyball. Her two brothers play football. The entire family is involved in track.
Wow.
Yeah, she can jump.
And Ashley is also involved in track and field. So there is a lot going on a daily basis in the Miles home. But this may be the best nugget about her track and field career. She's never entered an event and lost. She's undefeated.
She loves the sport of gymnastics, and I'll tell you what, if she was in Sydney, Australia, she would have loved the floor mat down there.
She has a great presence on the floor, really does.
You're looking for. Good job. Good job. Good concentration. You got one more, all right?
Her coach, Michael Harris, has been coaching her since she was 7 years old.
Tremendous power, though, as we've said. Acrobatics is where she shines here. Double laid out somersault. Just that small step, and it'll only cost her 1/10 of a point, though.
Around the line.
9.475 for Ashley Miles. And now we get word that Qi Linzi of the Chinese team will not go on the uneven bar, so the Chinese will have to count 2 misses, one in 9.4 and then one in the 8s. So that could be very costly. She looks fine.
Yeah, I don't know. They come to this meet every year, and they just really don't put it all together, and sometimes they don't look like they're trying as hard as they could.
Here's Sabina Kojakar.
Yeah, one of the great talents on this young team. She is actually the 2000 Junior European Champion. I found it very odd that she didn't compete on uneven bars. It's the first look that we'll have for her. Setting up again for one of those really difficult elements with a full twist. That's nice.
As we said, it's just remarkable. A handful of years ago, if you had an athlete, one, on a top international team that performed that, it would be a great thing to have for your team. This junior team has 4 of the 5. And they can really do them, too.
It was really cute when the Romanian team was flying over to New York. Some of the flight attendants got a kick out of having the Romanian team on their flights. They were taking pictures of the athletes, and they later brought them some coloring books, and the girls were really offended. They said, hey, we're small, but we're not that young. Another triple twist.
Oh, great one.
It's awesome.
Wow. But they've got falls, this Romanian team. A couple of mistakes here and there, and it's really going to hurt them in the team standing.
Can't tell you how difficult this skill is. 3 elements in a row, ends with a super high full twisting tuck. She's solid. She should be. She practiced about 100 of them.
So Sabina Kojakar gets a 9.775. That's huge by today's standards. We come down now to the final performance of the first half of the competition. Marie Fjordholm. Without a doubt, this is such an odd time in the gymnastics calendar because you've got a group of Olympians who are trying to reassess their future. Do we recommit for another couple of years? Do we not? Am I too old to do this? Then you have this group that wants it so badly, yet there really isn't an event close enough on the horizon for them or their team to get that excited about.
Marie comes from a gymnastic family. She has 3 other sisters, 2 which are twins, all take gymnastics.
Marta Caroli, a rousing conclusion of this second rotation for the American team. And we'll get you the scores through 2 rotations. We'll see Holly Weiss, Ashley Kelly, and a challenge from the Chinese and the Romanians when we come back for more of the International Team Championship here in Syracuse, New York. Back we are in Syracuse. The judges here gave Marie Fjordholm of the United States a 9-6 on the floor exercise. Romania has taken over the lead over the U.S. after 2 rotations. So on into the 3rd we go. Holly Weiss, the first of 2 vaults. She is 12 years old.
Definitely has a promising future, but this, if there was a weak event for Holly, this would be it.
The one great quality about this, though, as Elfie said, that the power is a little bit lacking, but sometimes when you have an athlete that struggles in that area, when they go to that event, they hold back. She doesn't do that at all.
And her coach, Evgeny, said that he recognizes that this is a weakness at this stage in her career. They're not going to rush things. They're not going to try to attempt some of the super difficult vaults that the top athletes are doing at this moment. They're going to take their time and do it properly.
You know, one other thing for a kid who's 12 years old, I mean, how cool is it to just be out there in an arena wearing the USA uniform? I mean, that's got to be the neatest thing going.
Big time. Same vault.
Ooh, almost stuck it.
Yeah, the importance here is that she performs the vault as best that she possibly can, and that involves trying to stick the landings. This vault, again, only out of a 9.5. That's the maximum.
So 9.5 start value. That would be the most she could get without any deduction. She loses 0.25 and averages it out to a 9.237. Maybe Ashley Kelly can give the United States the little bump they need to keep up with Romania.
She's a very powerful vaulter.
It's actually a new vault for her. Yurchenko with a 1.5 twist. It's out of a 9.8. Does it very well.
If you land your vault and you're facing away from the horse, it's what we call the blind landing. So you're flipping forward at the end. Much more difficult to stick these types of vaults, so they typically are evaluated a little bit higher. See, she's facing away from the horse, can't see the ground until after her feet hit.
$9,475. Now vault number 2.
She'll do the same vault. Yeah, a lot more power in that vault. Christy Kraft is happy.
Christy told us that this young lady has come on so strong, so fast. Just a year ago, basically just wanted to be a high school gymnast. Now she wants to go all the way.
And we crunch the numbers on Ashley, 9.55 on the second vault, so a very good 2-vault performance for her that averages out to a 9.512. Huang Mandan of China, and you can see from Syracuse University, a lot of the Chinese students there have come with banners in support of the team and these gymnasts. That's got to be neat for them.
Huang Mandan actually coming off a tough performance on the uneven bar. She was just slated to perform on bars and balance beam at this competition. When she returned home from the Olympic Games, she said she only had a half a day with her mom and her grandma. Stayed up till about 10 o'clock at night to fill them in on some of the stories and was back in Beijing the next morning.
Oh boy.
Yikes. Now, there are times when you can fall off the apparatus and it's a 5/10 deduction, and then there are times that you actually can fall on the apparatus, and that type of miss right there is certainly going to cost her 5/10.
So it didn't do her any good to hang on there and not just go off.
Not at all.
Seems to me there should be some sort of fight through it bonus.
You would think, yeah. There are a lot of rules that that don't differentiate as well as they should. Double full dismount.
You know why? I mean, Tim, all the coaches talk about, you're going to go through problems. You're going to have moments in those routines where you have to fight through it. And there's so much admiration in the gymnastics community for gymnasts who can fight through it. So if you're not going to reward a gymnast who literally fights through it, then what's that all about?
She actually came to this competition, wasn't really in great condition. She struggled through all the practices, really had a tough time even getting through an entire routine.
Well, after such a high like training for the Olympic Games and going over there, and then remember they were wildly successful. The Chinese women's team came home with a whole bunch of medals.
8.75 off the quote-unquote fall. Now Andrea Ulmeanu, 16 years of age. She could certainly spend a little time with Jamie Natalie and share a story or two. She was the dreaded alternate on the Olympic team for Romania, which went out there and won the gold medal.
Boy, were they ever segregated. They were, the entire six, they were all together.
She trained by herself.
Completely by herself at every workout. And she was not just the alternate at the 2000 games, but also at a World Championships. The head of delegation, Mircea Palazan, said she's the eternal alternate. Steps out of bounds right there.
Why do you think it is structured by the people who run the sport to not give the alternate any of the joys of the Olympic experience? Why would it be done that way?
Well, it actually, from what we're told, has very little to do with the Gymnastics Federation. It's more with counting official athletes at the Olympic Games. For example, at a World Championships, if there is a 6-member team, typically 7 members, the alternate will get a medal if that team medals, but not at the Olympic Games. They're not even a member of the team.
Definitely the tumbling was the highlight of this routine. You know, the coaches were saying that they recognize that they haven't always used the best floor exercise music. They're really trying to make a conscious effort in the choreography department.
Okay, we'll get Andrea Ulmeanu's score of Romania when we come back. Plus, we'll learn a lot more about American Marie Fjordholm as we look at the gymnasts of the future today on NBC. Back we are in Western New York. Andrea Ulmeanu's score of Romania, 9.35 on the floor exercise. Now for China, it was Romania, United States, China, 1, 2, 3 at the end of 2 rotations. We continue in the third of 4. This is Sun Xiaojiao of China.
She says this is her best event and they need help from her right now. Actually, as a junior back in 1999, she was the Chinese national champion on the balance beam.
Watch this right here. Head goes back, loses sight of the beam. Very, very difficult.
Also gives her bonus points.
Nice tumbling run here to a layout.
Ah, that was beautiful. That was interesting. Nice combination. Started off with a one-arm back handspring into a back handspring swing down. You don't see that one-arm back handspring type move very often. It's a nicely choreographed balance beam routine. It really flows from one move to the next.
That was pretty nice, huh, Elfie?
Nice exercise.
Yeah, no major errors in that routine. Gonna get a big score here, real big.
You guys seen anything that has surprised you at all?
No, not really. You know, we're seeing a very young Romanian team, a young U.S. team. Both of them are going to be contenders on the world stage.
And just a glimpse of some of the elements that are going to become a lot more popular as we head into the next cycle.
Elena Bond of Romania.
The girls were really excited about their day trip following this competition. They're heading off to Niagara Falls. They're really thrilled to see one of the natural wonders of the world.
They'll probably want to vault over it.
Well, as Tim would say, she's bouncy.
A lot of energy in that routine.
But was she bouncy, Tim?
Yes, she was.
Okay, Elfie, you're right. That's exactly what he would say.
Nice Arabian double front somersault here. She has a lot of power.
She actually can rebound out of this into another front flip. Didn't do it in the competition.
Lots to talk about with that Romanian team right now. Oana Ban, a 9.5. They were in first place. Sun Zhao Zhao of the Chinese team, 9.75. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how this all tightens up after the third rotation. Now we go back to the 17-year-old American, Marie Fjordholm. She trains in Texas with a name we've mentioned. She had an Olympic dream for Sydney. It all just didn't work out.
I would have loved to make the Olympic team, but that didn't happen. God has a plan for everybody, and it obviously wasn't my plan. I can't look back and dwell on that. I have to look forward. I have the 2001 team next year.
Fjordholm's dream was to make it as a specialist on one or two events. She continues to stick with the sport and train with her coach, Valery Liukin.
Mary is a very good gymnast. Her time is not up yet. She's consistent. She's always work.
It was a special time in Valery's gym. Marie trained there with Vanessa Atler, who was supposed to be a major player in the entire Olympic dream.
We became sisters while we were together, and I could tell her anything. She could tell me anything. I don't know what I would have done without her. I don't think I would have survived. So we went through some really tough times together.
Oh my. That's big trouble.
That could be disastrous for this young lady.
Dominique Dawes Kristen Maloney, Elise Ray, and Morgan White.
She was upset. I talked to her right afterwards, and she knows that things didn't go as planned, but she had to move on also.
Now, with Vanessa taking some time for fun on the post-Olympic tour, Marie has set her sights on her own future.
The Athens Olympics is definitely in my mindset right now. I'm looking forward to it. It's kind of far along the road, but I'm not going to keep it out of my head.
I think she can do great. She's going to be almost the oldest one, you know, take a lead of something, you know, and I think that's going to change her way of thinking about her gymnastics.
In reality, the next major dangling carrot for these gymnasts isn't that far away. It's in 2001 at the World Championships in Ghent, Belgium.
Well, if there's one thing Marie has on her side, that's certainly the experience of having gone through the last 4 years. Of course, she didn't make it to the Olympic trials, something she'd like to change down the road.
Great vault, handspring front layout with a half turn. And if there's an athlete that is one of the front runners to make that world team, it would be Marie. And if her coach, Valery Liukin, says that she's a hard worker, she always does what she's supposed to, then he means it. He's one of the greatest gymnasts of all time.
This vault actually is out of a 9.9. She's the only one on this team doing a start value vault with that degree of difficulty, 9.9. Same second vault.
Another huge vault, and I think a little bit better this time.
Marta Caroli.
Again, the goal here on this vault is to maintain a laid out, stretched body position.
Well, her teammates like it. Her coaches liked it. And Marie's probably going to love it. They certainly did here at the War Memorial Auditorium. 9.625. We're heading down to the wire here in Syracuse. Back after this. Back in Syracuse, another look at Ashley Miles. She was very impressive the way she carried herself on the floor. Got a 9.475. And now we'll see her two vaults.
Another one of those power events. She'll do Yurchenko with 1.5 twists.
Same vault that we saw from Ashley Kelly.
Oh boy.
That's too bad. That's not something you'll see often from this young lady.
Tim, explain it. I mean, there's so much torque and momentum that if it doesn't hit the mat in exactly the right way, it works against you to flip you backwards.
Well, definitely. She just does not have enough rotation, and because she's so powerful, she's going into the ground with such force. It's amazing that she didn't sit right down. That just shows you how strong she is. Other athletes would have, right off the bat, they just would have sat down, but she almost saved it, but almost doesn't count.
8.95.
Same vault here.
Yeah, that's the way it should be done.
Whole different story, yeah.
Good finish. It's okay.
Of course, Ashley's 15. She's got a long way to go and a lot to learn. Sabina Kojakar, 9.775 on the beam. Then it did not compete, and now on the floor. And if there's one thing the Romanians have always been able to do, it's floor.
Sabina was actually the silver medalist at the 2000 Junior European Championships. Yeah, notice the extra attention that they've paid to her in choosing her music. She actually does a really nice job with the choreography.
For a moment there, I thought she got out of sync, but the music had a little bit more, and so did she. And she had it all tied together there at the end.
A lot of different tumbling in that routine. Very well done.
And her coach, Michael Harris, a few moments ago was right when he told her good finish. She averaged it out to a 9.25 with a 9.55. And now here's the judge total of Sabina Kojikar, 9.775. Another big number for the Romanians on the floor. So the United States, with one rotation to go, is making its way over to the uneven bars. And we'll see if they can overcome a deficit heading to this final rotation. And we'll update the scoreboard in a moment. All right, here's the deal in Syracuse at the International Team Championship. It looks like it's going to be a two-team battle for the top spot between the United States and the Romanian women. Ashley Kelly, Holly Weiss, and this young American team within .663. It's going to take a very big comeback, but China can't even think of pulling off something like that. So Alexandra Barak for the Romanians, they have moved over to the vault.
And I got to tell you, the U.S. team, very strong on even bars, and the Romanian vaulters, this is not that strong of a team. Their start scores aren't that high.
Yeah, interesting. The first vault, it's only out of a 9.5. They've actually been struggling for the past few days on this event. They've been spending a little extra time in the practice, just really having a hard time getting off this board.
It's a lot to make up, over 0.6 of a point on 4 different routines, but it is possible, especially when you have scores like that.
All right, now listen to her teammates in the background one more time. It works.
Yeah, she is just maybe 6 months away from adding another full twist to that, and all of a sudden a vault that doesn't bring in the big score is world class.
All right, here's Ashley Kelly. She's had a very solid, consistent day.
Yeah, and she's in the same position as she was on balance beam, being the lead-off person. So this is a really important routine to set the tone.
Nice inverted giants there. Double laid out somersault.
She'll take that one. She's been steady throughout the competition. Very dependable athlete.
Now, what's happening here for all these gymnasts is that they're laying the foundation for future success. Now, if in the process the United States could pull off a big upset and come back, that would be just a big bonus. But here they are, looking at Barak's scores. She's going to average out a 9.062. Now, if by chance Romania has to keep that score because they've got one that's even worse, well, then the United States has already made up over 0.2. So at least they can go on now to the next routine knowing that they're stepping in the right direction. Here's Andrea Olmiano. She looks at that 9.0 and she knows she's got to be good.
She does, and she's capable of doing it. Actually, she's not been vaulting as well here as we've seen her. Elfie and I watched her at the Olympic Games doing a handspring 1.5.
Yeah, nowhere near the difficulty of what she performed in Sydney in the practice gyms anyway. This vault's only out of a 9.6. That's surprising.
Andrea was the alternate for Romania to the 2000 Olympic Games
Only thing wrong with this vault here is maybe just a little bit of form in the air. You see the knees, and of course, takes that step on the landing.
.92. Better, but not by much.
Well, she can definitely land better than she just did there. That's the first place to start.
Not today.
Another big step on the landing. And the Romanians reset for the next vault. Now we will get Olmaiano's average score in a moment. Still to come, Taryn Humphrey of the United States and Marie Fjordholm as the United States tries to mount a comeback in the final rotation on the uneven bars here in Syracuse, New York. So this much we know about this attempted USA comeback. The vault average of Andrea Olmaiano is a 9.212. So already the United States has picked up about 1.7 at least. Now here's Taryn Humphrey from Missouri. She's 14 years of age.
And this is a jam-packed bar routine. A lot of difficulty, a lot of intricate skill after skill. Nice stalder work right here into a Healy spin.
You'll see her coach, Alphone, step in for one of her release skills. That's allowed, so long as he doesn't touch her.
Very smooth.
She's very nice on bars.
Now that's going to bring in a big score.
One of the loudest cheers we've had here at the War Memorial Auditorium.
Great job.
Yeah, that is bad news for Romania right there.
Good.
Because I think that score, this routine is going to get a score that's bigger than what Romania has as starting scores on their vaults.
And she'll get a big score because of combinations like this. Really nice release element right there.
And that score is about to go up, and it's a 9.7 for Taryn Humphrey. Only Peng Sha of China has put up a number that high on the uneven bars here today. Oana Ban, maybe the United States taking another step toward this possible comeback.
Well, we're actually seeing some start values going up for the Romanians. This vault she's planning to do is out of a 9.8. Yurchenko with a 1.5 twist.
Well, very low landing. Amazing she didn't sit that down, but they're just making it harder and harder on themselves here.
Oana was second all around at the Japan International Junior Championships.
Very difficult vault, as Elfie said, 1.5 twists, that blind landing, but when you squat down like that, even if you don't touch the floor, it's poor posture and landing, and the judges will deduct.
Now let's just say live, she gets a 9-1. One judge thinks she touched. He has no proof, he has no replay. Would that happen? I mean, or do the judges have to come to some sort of agreement?
It happens all the time. That's why they take the scores, throw out the high and the low.
Another step way wide left.
Well, it was a little bit better, but it's not going to be that much higher of a mark brought in here.
And we'll get back to her score in a moment. Now it's Marie Fjordholm's opportunity to keep this comeback with momentum.
Yeah, and she can do it here on this event. This is an apparatus where she is extremely aggressive on. She has some pretty spectacular release elements planned, almost back to back. There's the first.
Another one here. As Elfie said, just very aggressive on this routine.
She looked great while she was up on the bars. Legs together the entire time.
Well, it's a great routine. Just a landing a little bit off on her front. But this is the best part of the exercise right here, in combination a reach under pirouette to a front somersault.
Super high.
Way in the air.
That's nice. Yeah, that's what I like about this athlete on this event. She's not afraid to just let it go.
Marie gets a 9.325. Oana Bond's second vault average out the total to a 9.162. So the United States is going to pick up another 10th at least here. And they've got Holly Weiss coming up. She's only 12, but already everybody here knows she's good on bars. We'll see if she can keep the American comeback coming. Well, it's going to be one big performance on the uneven bars coming up for 12-year-old Holly Weiss, but she'll have to wait as she chalks up and watch to see Oana Petrovski on the vault and see if the Romanians continue to open up this door of possibility today for the United States in Syracuse.
Well, they're going to try with this athlete, Oana. She's actually planning to do a vault that's valued out of a 9.9. It's a double twisting Yurchenko, really tough to do. Actually does it much, much better than I've been watching in practice.
Oana competed in the European Championships, finishing second in the team.
Very nice vault, a lot of power, but certainly opens up the possibility for the judges to take deductions. You see the legs apart there and landing staggered like that with one foot in front of the other. All those are potential deductions.
All right, from a 9.9 all the way down to a 9.375.
Just about 6 years ago, you could do that vault, and if you landed on your feet, you'd get at least a 9.7.
Yeah, better landing, but still some of the form breaks in the air. But again, to remind the people at home, this vault is not easy.
A lot going on. Goes onto the horse backwards, comes off the horse, 1.5 flips, 2 twists.
Second vault better. It averages out to a 9.425. So that's the most solid number the Romanians have put up here in the final rotation. So let's check out Holly Weiss. I know you guys have been checking her out in practice. How good is she on these uneven bars?
She has an amazing swing ability, but what's most impressive about her is putting it all together. I mean, this competition hasn't even phased her whatsoever.
She does have a little bit of a Morgan White quality to her, doesn't she?
You're going to see some top skills along with the great swing that I mentioned. Beautiful form, right down to the toes.
Nice stalder work, right into some beautiful inverted giants. Catching the bar there, that is big time, because that really the only major place she could have a huge problem that would hurt the score. Beyond that, the dismount possibly.
Coming up right here.
How about this kick?
I gotta say, maybe the best exercise of the entire competition right there.
Knowing that her team could possibly pull off something big here, she goes out and sticks the routine and may really put the big squeeze on the Romanians. I don't know. Maybe she's too young to know better, but for a 12-year-old to go in there and just ignore the pressure and come through like this is really something.
Yeah, I'm sure she's thinking right at this point, oh, that was kind of fun. This dismount was really impressive. I mean, you know, that sometimes takes years of experience to know how to just nail a dismount after such a difficult routine.
But check out her team watching or not watching.
Hey.
Valery Liukin. And how many hours in the gym have gone into that?
He likes it.
And he hopes it's only the beginning. And Holly Weiss puts up the biggest score today on the uneven bars, a 9.725. And now the U.S., as she pats herself on the back, is in a position where they could win this thing. We come down to the vaults of Sabina Kojakar, and that's it. She needs to average a 9.664 as we crunch the numbers to leap in front of the United States by 1,000th of a point. How are her start values?
Well, the start value on this vault is a 9.9, but it's going to have to be very, very good.
Near perfect.
No.
Not on that one.
No way.
Well, hasn't this turned into one amazing final rotation for this young group of Americans?
Amazing comeback. They don't know it right now, but I would say it is a done deal. That landing position completely bent over, and that major staggered one leg in front of the other, and there it is right there. That'll do it.
She can't possibly average it out to win it. So the United States down by a little over 6/10 with just 4 routines to count. Does come all the way back. And that will officially do it right there. And it's a wonder how soon the United States will realize that this score is not even going to make it close. The United States is going to win by about 5/10. Now we glance over to the American team with Marta and Valerie Liukin. And it looks as though they feel like they did something special. I don't know if they know just how good.
And I tell you, that is a talented group of athletes with a bright future.
Well, it's official now, 9.375. Averages out to a 9.175. And yes, the United States is going to come back in this 4th and final rotation and win the International Team Championship. So they are digging that, and the Romanians have to feel like they've come to the United States and had this feeling before. So as they stand stunned, let's go down to Beth Ruyak.
Thanks, Al. We've heard it more than once. You're all of 12 years old. Holly, did you have any idea that your bar routine might win this meet for the United States?
No, I really didn't. I knew it was going to be close, but I didn't know that it was going to be really this close, and I'm really happy that we won.
It's not your first international meet. You've been in pressure situations like this before, but before you got up on bars, what was the feeling this time around?
I was really excited because I had already hit 3 routines, and like if I hit this one, it would be like one of the first times I've ever hit like 4 in a meet, and I was a little bit nervous, but I was confident with myself.
Well, thanks a lot, and congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, back to you, Al.
And so the gymnasts of the United States roll over into a new generation. Pretty wild.
Exclamation point right there. Bright future for this young lady and this entire U.S. team.
But don't forget the Romanian team. They gave us a little glimpse into their future, a young, talented team as well.
From Syracuse, Beth Ruyak, Tim Daggett, Elfie Schlegel, Al Trautwig. See you next time here on NBC.